New all-time highs again in the market with the S&P up 0.48%, closing at 6631.96. The trend that started at the beginning of September is still intact as we continue to hug the 50 EMA on the 15-minute chart over the last several weeks, with a little bit of a dip yesterday during FOMC and today right back above the 50 EMA line. And so we hit the next target at 6650 on our gamma exposure chart. The 6600 strike is still the second largest gamma exposure level. And with the big OPEX tomorrow, we do see the potential for momentum to continue as the market opens up in the morning. Overall, though, if we zoom out and take a look at our daily candlestick chart, we can clearly see how we are getting up into our upper dealer cluster zone. This is between the 6650 and approximately the 6680 level. And so this could represent an area where dealer selling pressure increases, and we could see either a little bit of consolidation or potentially a pullback into this 50-day EMA, which is rising and rising rapidly. Longer term, however, we continue to see gamma exposure growing at these higher strikes all the way up to 7,000. You've heard us talking about this over the last several months as the overall trend has continued marching higher, and we think even with a period of consolidation or even a 3 to 5% dip in the market, we would still be in this overall uptrend.
Thanks, Anthony. Let's take a look at the small caps. Yesterday we noted that IWM actually closed with higher GEX despite the potentially bearish candle we saw with that huge spike just over 245 that failed and then closed below the whole moving average. We ended up gapping above the line, above that 240. The whole moving average held any attempt to pull back during the day, and we ended up going up to the 245 GEX cluster. So I wanted to give a quick replay of what we shared today in our Zero DTE channel. We posted that IWM was at 241.52. But based on this positive GEX we saw at 242 and at 245, which is the big one, of course, we noted that if we got above 242 and held, there was a very good chance that we would quickly reach the 245 area. And as you can see, I've pulled up our time machine, which is a new feature we added just a few days ago. And it shows how GEX and price changes as we go through the day. And so you can see as we went through that 241 area, we got through 242. And with a few small pullbacks, it gave us a really good shot up to the 245 area. So, another great example, 2 days in a row of IWM GEX giving us a good indication of what happens.
Thanks, Sean. We mentioned that tomorrow is the big monthly OPEX for September. It's also quad witching as well. And so a number of big names are either hitting big gamma exposure levels or are quickly approaching those levels. And Meta is one of those names, up 0.58% today, closing at 780.25. The 800 strike has been in focus now for the past several weeks, ever since we bounced off of this 50-day EMA. You can see the volume today at that 800 strike was also very large, over 60,000 contracts traded. The probabilities are high for a potential attempt up to 800 by tomorrow, but even if it doesn't hit, we know that this is a big level for market participants. It was hit back in early August, and we think either tomorrow or sometime next week has the potential to get even closer up into that 800 strike. And Meta is a name that we have been actively trading throughout the year. Today, we actually closed out our September 19th, 755, 750 put credit spread. We entered this position back on September 4th, and you can see we actually sold those put credit spreads for $2.60. Of course, at the time, Meta was trading below the 750 level, just coming right off of that 50-day EMA. So ultimately, we locked in those profits on Meta today, gaining $494 on that particular trade. And by the way, you can track our trades in real time as we manage our options portfolio by becoming a member at geeksoffinance.com, or you can check us out for free in our community Discord. Check out the links in the description below.
Thanks, Anthony. I've got QQQ pulled up. It's been maintaining this steep ascent along the whole moving average for this entire move up in September. And today we have an indecision candle. GEX is still clustered at higher strikes, 600 in particular. And that also matches up quite well with the upper Keltner channel. So given that tomorrow is OPEX Friday and, quad witching, I do think there's a good shot for at least part of the day for QQQ to make an attempt toward that 600. We may even gap over 600 and then see some sort of pullback below the line. And in fact, if you look at our 3D GEX graph, 575 is the largest negative cluster, but it's really dwarfed by the positive GEX that we see at 600 expiring tomorrow. So the odds are definitely tilted toward a trip to 600, and a lot of that GEX expires tomorrow, which does elevate the odds of this being a possible target as we head into Friday.
Thanks, Sean. Next, I want to take a look at Nvidia. Nvidia, big move today, up 3.54%, closing at 176.32. Yesterday, Nvidia bounced right off of the 50-day EMA. It actually pierced it just below the 170 level before bouncing into the close. And today we saw a pretty nice move off of that level. And this has happened in the last several months. Every time Nvidia gets down to that 50-day EMA, which is this red line on our chart, just FYI. But every time it gets down to that red line, we see some sort of support form and buyers step in. Gamma exposure is currently largest at the 175 strike, but we'll also see quite a bit of GEX at the 180 strike, making it a potential target for tomorrow. Now, Nvidia is another name that we have been actively trading over the last several months, and we did close out our positions in Nvidia today. We locked in $6,550 profits on our short September 19th Nvidia 175 puts, so we just didn't want to take that risk into tomorrow's OPEX. Went ahead and locked those profits in, closing out those contracts at 80 cents. This is a trade that was actually part of a larger wheel strategy on Nvidia, and so we were okay being assigned the shares, but after collecting this much premium, we're going to go ahead and lock that in, and we'll reinitiate this wheel strategy, most likely after OPEX tomorrow.
Anthony, just a minute ago when I was discussing QQQ, I didn't mention that QQQ was actually lifted up today by a lot of names that weren't in the Magnificent Seven category. And so if you look at Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, a lot of those names were down. Even though the Magnificent Seven names largely didn't participate in today's rally, I think there's still a setup, especially for Microsoft and Apple, to potentially lift the index tomorrow. So I have Microsoft pulled up in particular. This is a stock that we also hold, so we are long the position already. And you can see the whole moving average is rising. It's currently at 507.70. We have a lot of GEX right around this price. The GEX cluster that I'm really focused on is up here at 520. And once again, I'll come back to our 3D graph. You can see these two very big spikes that we see, which represent individual GEX clusters at certain expirations, 515 and 520, both expiring tomorrow on September 19th. So market participants are betting on Microsoft having a good shot at reaching somewhere between 515 and 520 on Friday.
And for a limited time, we are running a promotion. You can get $300 off our yearly Portfolio Manager tier subscription. Use code September 2025 at checkout. We've got a few spots remaining, but this promotion is going to be ending soon, so definitely take advantage of it while you can. Members get full access to our Gamma Exposure dashboard, our option flow analytics tools, as well as our algorithmic trading strategies. And you'll also get access to the premium channels in our community Discord. There's a ton of great traders in there sharing their own trade setups and strategies. And you can also track our trades in real time as we manage our options portfolio. I'll put links in the description below to all of that so you guys can check it out. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.